In the middle of chapter 8, we begin to look at formulas. And the book has a pretty good description of what a formula is. They mention that a formula is a recipe, in a sense, for doing a certain type of calculation. And then we're going to look at two different aspects of formulas, evaluating them and solving them. So let's take a look first at evaluating a formula. So here's where the analogy of a recipe becomes a little clearer. Let's say there's a rainstorm and you can both see and hear lightning. Well, there's a formula for finding out how far the lightning is from you when you see it. All right, so if you first, and the formula is the distance in miles equals 1/5 times the time elapsed between seeing it and then hearing it. Or in other words, m for short equals 1/5 multiplied by time. Right? So let's just take an example. Let's say we use time as 10 seconds. We're working in seconds here, and distance is miles. Right? So let's say it's 10 seconds. Well, evaluating a formula is taking a certain variable and replacing it with a number that's given to you. That's the only way you can evaluate it. You have to be given a number or numbers depending on the formula. Okay, so here m equals 1/5 multiplied, in this case we're going to say 10 seconds. You saw lightning and it took 10 seconds for you then to hear it. So 1/5 times 10 is 2. So in this case it would be 2 miles away from you. Okay, let's look at one more example. Let's say this time it is 6 miles away, or it takes 6 seconds for you to hear lightning after you've seen it in the sky. So again, we're evaluating this formula by taking that number 6 that was given to us. M equals 1/5 times 6. So the miles is 6/5, or 1.2 miles away. Okay? So that is evaluating a formula. But there's also solving formulas. And that is where, sorry about that. The formula might be solved for one variable, and the question might ask you to rearrange the formula to get another variable by itself. Right now, z is by itself, and I want to know what it would look like if we solve for y. Okay? So, to solve for y, we got to get rid of this plus 16. As we saw at the beginning of the chapter, how do we get rid of this plus 16? Well, to make it 0, we subtract 16. As we saw from the balance, we have to do the same thing to both sides. So plus 16 and minus 16 are 0. That's what we want. And now over here we have z minus 16. Now what is z minus 16? Well, we don't know. That's all we can leave it as because they're unlike terms. But what we have now is z minus 16 equals y, or y equals z minus 16. It doesn't matter which side of the equation the y is on and the z minus 16 is on. Okay? So that's solving for a variable. Right? Let's look at one more example that has another step in it. So right now we have c equals m plus r over 2, and I want to solve for m. Well, first thing we want to do to get m by itself is let's clear out this fraction. So notice here, or in other words, this division. Right here we're dividing by 2, because this is over 2. So to undo dividing by 2, we need to multiply both sides by 2. Multiply by 2, and multiply by 2. So now I have 2 times c equals m plus r. 2 divided by 2 make 1. Clear that, and over here we have 2c equals m plus r. Now, what's the final step to get m by itself? Think about that for a second. Okay, we need to get rid of this r on this side and move it to the other side, so we'll do that by subtracting r on both sides. So what we're left with now is m on one side, and over here we have 2 times c, 2c, and then we have minus r. Can we go any further than that? No, because we don't have any values right now for c or r, and we can't combine c and r because they're unlike terms. Now we are officially done. We've gotten m by itself, and that's as simple as we can make it. Now, we could evaluate this formula if someone gave us values for c and r. We could then evaluate it. If someone gave us maybe a 10 and a 7, then we could go ahead and evaluate it. But right now, this is all we can do, and so we have solved this formula for m, and we've finished. And that concludes this video on formulas.